When a lot of people talk about Texas, and especially when they're talking about San Antonio, they're thinking about the Alamo. San Antonio is the biggest tourist destination in the state. Today I'm going to take you to a couple of bars that have a lot of history on their own. That's on this episode of The Attitude Adjustment Hour. Hey everybody, Dennis Cruz here. Now, San Antonio is the southernmost part of Texas Hill Country. It's located about 90 miles south of Austin, and tourists love San Antonio for its attractions like the beautiful Riverwalk, which is a tree-lined stroll with shops, bars, hotel, restaurants. It goes along the old San Antonio River. And probably the main reason people come here is to, of course, visit that little mission church where the Texicans made a fateful stand that swung the revolution against Mexico and towards statehood for Texas. Everyone has to visit the legendary Alamo at least once. Now, only 100 yards away from the historic mission is the Menger Hotel. It was built in 1859, just 25 years after the fall of the Alamo, and it's the oldest hotel west of the Mississippi that's been in continual operation. It started as a modest little boarding house, and it grew as San Antonio grew. In 1887, the hotel manager decided that a new tap room was going to be put in, and they wanted it built as a replica of the House of Lords pub in London. So they sent their architect to England to examine the pub, and they installed a paneled ceiling with cherry wood booths and beveled mirrors from France, and decorated glass cabinets at a cost of $60,000. Now that would be around $1.5 million in today's dollar. This place is beautiful. The hotel has had a lot of famous military guests, including the great names of the Civil War, Phil Sheridan, William Tecumseh Sherman, Robert E. Lee, as well as Presidents Ulysses S. Grant, Benjamin Harrison, and then later Woodrow Wilson and Dwight Eisenhower. Generals John Pershing, George Patton, Jimmy Doolittle, they've all stayed at this hotel. And in the hotel bar is where Theodore Teddy Roosevelt recruited many of his Rough Riders, volunteers for the cavalry in the Spanish-American War. The call went out for volunteer regiments, and they were supposed to have exclusively frontiersmen possessing special qualifications as horsemen and marksmen, and no better place than Texas. Because of his highly publicized enlistment, more than 23,000 applicants flooded into the War Department office. Everybody wanted to work with Teddy Roosevelt. And he recruited them from Texas, San Antonio to be exact, with its proximity to Fort Sam Houston. And the spot he recruited them was the patio and the bar at the Menger Hotel. The uniform of the Rough Riders had a totally Western flair. Slouch hats, blue flannel shirts, bandanas handed out, gave it a distinctive cowboy look. And the regiment's chant soon became rough, tough, we're the stuff, we want to fight, we can't get enough. I mean, these are a bunch of brawlers. And throughout San Antonio, signs welcomed each state and territory with hospitality. Bartenders at the Menger used to give out free shots of whiskey in solidarity with the men. And that didn't make Roosevelt's superior, Colonel Leonard Wood, too happy. He jumped all over Roosevelt for purchasing beer kegs for the volunteers. He was worried about public drunkenness. He wanted to keep things on the up and up. But TR insisted on offering his libations to his men. He said, "Sir, I consider myself the damnedest ass within 10 miles of this camp." And the Menger bar still serves beer on tap from a keg at the end of the bar. So we're here in Menger's bar, and this is where Teddy Roosevelt had everybody sign up. This was the place they did it, in this bar in the Menger Hotel, which is seriously 100 yards away from the Alamo. It's a beautiful bar, and I ordered a drink that they might have back in the day. They would do sours, and I had a whiskey sour. Beautiful thing. Use Jim Beam. Beautiful drink he made here. Oh, real nice, real nice. Sour's it's got fresh lemon juice. It's almost like a margarita, but we used whiskey. Because the other thing, everybody knows that TR was a cigar smoker. It was the thing back in the day. And the beautiful thing about this bar, the Menger bar, not only can you smoke, which is rare, it must be a historical thing that they let you still do it, but they have a small humidor behind the bar, and they have a great humidor in the lobby. I picked up an H. Upmann from 1844, first started in Cuba. They're in the Dominican Republic now. This could be exactly the cigar that Teddy Roosevelt may have smoked back then. I don't know how well I'm going to enjoy it.
Vodka and the Cape Cod? Tito's Absolute Grey Goose Smirnoff.
I'm telling you, this is a beautiful thing. This is not, let's face it, they're banning smoking in most bars around the country. I got my whiskey sour. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Menger Bar, you gotta come on in. Only blocks away from the Menger Bar is another one of Roosevelt's favorite haunts while in San Antonio, the Buckhorn Saloon. Though this was opened in 1881 by a guy named Albert Friedrich, his father made furniture out of deer horns, and the bar had a standing offer from day one. Bring in your deer antlers and you can trade them for a shot of whiskey or a beer. So before long, the Buckhorn had the finest collection of trophy mounts in the entire world. Men would actually collect an antler shed from the hill country, where deer hunting's always been a big deal, there's a lot of deer, then ride into San Antonio for their free drink. Business was so good that they had to move their operations to larger headquarters at Houston and Soledad Streets, just blocked from the Alamo, and that's where it is today. Even though Roosevelt wasn't much of a drinker at the time, he'd wander in with his Rough Riders, order a beer, nurse it, camaraderie. So only blocks away from the Alamo, blocks away from the Menger, is another spot that Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders hung out. That's called the Buckhorn Saloon. We're here now. It's really a trippy place. It is the oldest saloon in Texas. It was opened in 1881, and the place is filled with antlers and animal heads, taxidermied heads, and it's now partly a museum and stuff. But the bar's historic. They used to drink beer. The boys like beer. TR didn't drink that much, but I'm having a beer for our boys, the Rough Riders. Okay, so we're outside the Buckhorn, and I gotta be honest, I'm a little disappointed. The history of this place is great. The Buckhorn Saloon's been around since 1881, Teddy Roosevelt. They've got the whole thing about the deer antlers that I told you about, but the thing is, they made it such a tourist attraction with the museum, and they tried to do too much. Listen, if you're looking for authenticity, I wouldn't say come to the Buckhorn. I'd say go over to Menger's, fantastic old bar with great history. And if you want to come over and check out a wax museum with a bunch of animal heads, Buckhorn Saloon's your spot. You can check out the Attitude Adjustment Hour at aahour.com. The audio is downloadable there, and it's on iTunes and your iPhone. I've got the video posted on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm Den Cruz. That's DENCRUZ, all one word. And I love your feedback and suggestions. Post at aahour.com or email me at aahour@yahoo.com. Hopefully I've lubricated the thought process for you a little bit. I'm Dennis Cruz, and thanks for joining me on the Attitude Adjustment Hour.